I'm Duncan McLeod, and this is TechCentral's TCS Plus, brought to you today by CYBER1. We're going to be talking all about SOCs today, not the type you put on your feet, but rather Security Operations Center. And my guests today have built one and are successfully operating it today. I'd like to introduce you to my guest now. Simon Perry is Chief Technology Officer at CYBER1 Group, and Simon is joined in the studio today by Gerald Naude, who is head of the SOC. Welcome to both of you, and thanks for making the time to talk to TechCentral today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Simon, let's start with the basics. What is a SOC? Why is it important?
Yeah, so I think taking a look at a SOC in general, standing for Security Operations Center. I think what we're seeing from a global point of view is the shortage of skills within the market. And I think this is why, CYBER1 SOC was sort of developed started about 2 years ago. The main reason was really to assist our customers and offering a service to our customers and providing them, I guess, the skills to monitor the events that could be occurring from on an organisation itself.
Right. Okay. So this is do companies themselves deploy SOCs if they're large enough?
Yeah, they do. I mean, taking a look at some of the financial sectors out there, there are a lot of organisations have internal security operations centres. I think the biggest issue that they're facing, and I think we're facing, I touched on it, is the skills shortage.
Okay.
Because you're looking for guys who've got the experience and have been able to work in those type of conditions. Security operations centres, 24/7, 365, days a year along those lines, and we need to make sure that the right people are looking at the screens to report back to the business.
Yeah. So it would make sense in many cases because of the skills shortage, but other issues, costs as well, I assume.
Oh, definitely.
To consider a third-party SOC rather than building your own, even if you're a large company.
Yeah. A security operations centre could cost millions to build, and then the SOC is generally built into three areas: people, processes, and technologies.
Okay.
Trying to find the right people can be a problem. Technology is very expensive. You need to make sure that you get the right tech in place. It integrates with, existing sort of vendors and solutions that customers might have already invested in. And then sort of building the process to make sure that internally you're following the right sort of workflow to provide that service to customers.
Gerald, take us through building a security operations center. What's involved? How long does it take? What do you have to do?
Yeah, so there's a lot of, as Simon mentioned, processes and policies. Like the paperwork behind getting the structure of the SOC is very important before you even start looking at technologies and people. It's very important that when you look at the technologies, you do comparisons, you do reviews, you test, you do proof of concept, trial demos, you speak to vendors. You have to get a solid package. You have to build a solid technology package that ensures you've got full integration, you've got coverage over multiple different environments, and that's just technology. Then with people, you have to identify what are you looking for? Are you looking for the right attitude? Are you looking for the right skill? Are you combining it? And what type of levels are you building into the SOC? So there's a lot of strategy involved before you actually implement.
It sounds like you need a pretty robust plan before you make any investment decision.
Exactly. Yes. Specifically, and it's that times too for SOC-as-a-service, which is a shared SOC model for organizations that don't necessarily have the time or the cost or the funds to start their own SOCs.
Yeah.
So, one of the benefits, just to digress a bit, one of the benefits of the SOC-as-a-service model is you're dealing with so many different environments. The types of intelligence that you build in to your SOC will, taking context from one customer helps you to build better context for the next, and you sort of protect your customers off of the intelligence you've built off of all of them. And you're also more integrated into the community. So there's a lot of different benefits to that as well.
Yeah. So SOC-as-a-service, or dare I say it, SOC-as. Is that a thing? SOC-as? Is that how you pronounce it?
SOC-as-a-service.
SOC-as-a-service.
Yeah.
All right.
SOC-as.
SOCs, yes. We could have a lot of fun with this. So, I mean, I think most people know what software as a service is. You subscribe to Microsoft 365 or Adobe Creative Cloud or whatever it is. Is this a similar sort of concept? You're subscribing to the security center as a service? I presume it's a little bit more complicated than that. What does it actually involve?
So there's implementation involved, there's consultancy involved, there's strategy involved. You have to identify what the customer's environment looks like.
Okay.
And when consulting your customer, you need to identify, what are their weaknesses, what type of problems or risks is the business facing, and then you start identifying use cases on how you can develop a security strategy from a security operations center point of view. And that becomes an operational service where you continuously improve that model. You continuously improve security posture for the customer. So with implementation, you've now got your technology stack as the SOC, you've got your people, you've got processes in place. Now you need to start integrating that into the customer's environment. Mm-hmm. Okay. And this goes beyond just integrating technology, there's integrating communications. So collaborating with the customer, building SLAs out, like all those intricacies are important.
And working on the use cases. I mean, customers generally don't know what's needed.
Yes.
And I think because we've been doing it, and a lot of the team members that sit on our team have come from SOCs. They've got 10 years experience, sitting in SOCs. So we've taken that experience and, offering to our customers and going, this is some of the key use cases that we believe that will fit your organization or the sector that you sit in.
So take me through, I know you can't give away too many details, but Gerald, take me through what the SOC looks like. Are there big screens on the wall showing adversary activity, attacks that are happening in real time? What is actually happening inside the environment?
Exactly that. So you've got your first line. So yes, there's the big screens in front. We've done it a little bit more dynamic. So the dashboards are not set in stone. Yep. The guys can dynamically change what they want to see to collaborate better with the rest of the team. But everyone in the SOC facility can see what happens on the dashboards. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of divided into different sections where you have from your level 1s through to your engineering teams, which is your 4th level. And it's built so that there's a central location where everyone can collaborate freely, because as we know, when it comes to a breach or any security risk for that matter, your response needs to be quick. So having the team close together with all the technology at their disposal right in the facility really enhances that capability.
And when one of your clients comes under attack, I presume that the environment gets very interesting indeed.
Yeah, it does. So
it becomes a battle.
It does, definitely. Normally we'll establish a war room. So we've got a little danger point inside the SOC facility, which is a little round table, that we get all the team leads into this danger point, and we discuss or build out a strategy. How we're going to respond to the customer while the analysts are on call with the customer to try and identify the problem. So again, the ease of working together is very important for us. If something happens, we get up and we start collaborating immediately.
Simon, take us through what you must have had conversations with dozens and dozens of clients and potential clients over the last year or two. What are they typically looking for in a SOC? What are their top priorities when making a decision around outsourcing their security management to this sort of environment?
Yeah, I think, the one area that you sort of spoke about is, customers facing incidents. Some of the stats at the moment, just for 2023, there've been over 600 major breaches that have occurred.
In South Africa?
Globally.
Globally, okay.
Globally. That's major. So, we had the MGM attack that we've all saw, and that was a social engineering attack that sort of triggered that. So, providing a service to customers, providing the people, the process, and the technologies, and also offering those 24-hour services to them is quite key. A lot of the customers we're chatting to, the teams are already, overworked, don't have the time, don't understand what they're looking at, and we're there to help and assist them in providing the right visibility for the organization so that they can focus on the priorities and make things work.
It's interesting what you say about 24/7. Do you find that adversaries would sometimes attack an organization, say here in South Africa, at 3 a.m, knowing that there's probably less chance of there being a response at that time of the day?
If you take a look at some of the syndicates that are sitting out there, there's, they're global syndicates. We know there's a massive amount of money in these syndicates, and that's why they've built these type of teams and businesses to attack organizations. So I would say most of the time, we're seeing attacks happen from anywhere in the world. So I can't tell you it's happening after hours because they know we're after hours. Generally, the case is really just making sure that we've got eyes on the screen to make sure we can report on it and actually get the team to investigate as quickly as possible.
And what are the most important, or not important, what are the most common attack types that you're seeing out there?
So phishing attacks, we're seeing that happen on a day-to-day basis. I spoke about the MGM attack. There was a voice phishing attack that initially kicked it off.
What were they ultimately trying to do in that MGM case?
They were trying to get the credentials of a user to gain access to, to sensitive...
gambling systems and
exactly,
stuff.
Exactly. And once they got that, they were able to sort of compromise the organization.
Okay. So phishing is big. What about ransomware?
So ransomware is always going to be big. It's ransomware as a service is quite a big thing that we see. We've had several calls from new customers to say that they've been hit by ransomware. Can we assist them? And generally jumping on a call to find out most of their systems are encrypted.
Right.
So how do we assist them? How do we help them? The biggest problem is customers generally don't have an incident response plan in place.
Yeah.
They don't have the right backups in place, and they think it's a light switch where you can turn it on and say, cool, we can get the business back up and running.
A bit like deer in the headlight stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah. So how do you advise organizations around ransomware? Because this information, their sensitive data is very often encrypted, and you don't have the keys to unlock that.
Yeah.
Do you actually engage with the cyber criminals to?
No. So the recommendations is don't engage.
Okay.
You never know if you're going to get your data back. If you pay on a Bitcoin along those lines, you're not aware if you're going to get those decryption keys. So how do we assist customers? Generally, we take a step back. We look at some of the internal processes and policies they have in place. Like I said, it comes down to security awareness. How do we, provide the awareness to the users in the organization to look out for phishing attacks? Because generally, that's how they're getting compromised. That's how the ransomware starts, and ensuring that they have, the right backups in place to restore if needed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's chat then about CYBER1's SOC and what it offers relative to some of the competition out there. I take it most of your competition is actually based overseas. I know there are a number of SOCs in South Africa, but my understanding is that you have a lot of competitors, particularly in Europe.
Yeah.
And some other markets around the world. But just tell me a bit about the SOC and how it perhaps is different to some of the other offerings out there.
Perfect. Yeah, so I think, we decided about 2 years ago to build our SOC. I think the main reason we were looking at building a SOC is that a lot of customers were purchasing SOC-as-a-service from international organizations. They're paying that dollar rate, they're paying excessive amounts of money for people they never meet. And we were like, we've got the people, we've got, the right, technologies in place to offer to customers. And we thought, how do we differentiate ourselves against the competitors in the market? And, you hear about a competitor who has a SOC, but, is it a next gen, security operations center? So, I think we've learned a lot from the competitors. We've had a look at what's out there. We've had a look at, competitors' brochures. What are they offering? How do they provide that service to customers? But I think when we're offering a SOC to customers in Africa and Europe, the best thing is our price, because we're dealing with people in South Africa, and unfortunately the rand's not that strong. We can offer really, really competitive prices against the European and the American SOC-as-a-service competitors.
Okay, yeah, because of the location, because of rand pricing, etc.
Definitely.
Yeah, interesting. Gerald, you spoke earlier about offering consultancy services. Let's expand a little bit beyond that. I know that the primary role of a SOC has always been detection and response and helping clients respond to attacks. But you mentioned that you also offer consultancy services. Maybe just expand a bit on why you do that and what you hope the outcome would be of being able to do that.
So if we look at the model that we've built, traditional SOC is, as you've said, is detection and response. You get notified of an alert or trigger, and the analyst then follow a process to then notify the customer, and they get it resolved. But with our SOC-as-a-service model, what we've done is we've looked at a couple of frameworks of how can we assist in the continuous improvement of our customers. I mean, that's one of our value propositions, is we want to see improvement month to month on our service to the customer and the posture that they have. So we go beyond the detection phase. We start with preparation. That's where the consultancy comes in. So we look at the various environments in the customer's, we look at the various departments in the customer's environment, and we look at, where are the loopholes, where's the flaws, how can we, what would help us monitor better, what would help us detect and respond better, and what do they have in place, and what do they need to improve on. I mean, that's what we've built into our implementation. That's not an additional cost. That's part of our service to the customer, and that happens continuously.
Okay.
And like Simon mentioned, the people factor, that's really important for us, because people don't trust technology, they trust people that they've gained trust from. So that's very important to us, to have that engagement. We've got our lead teams who continuously have feedback sessions with the customer to see if there's any problems.
Right.
What are the current challenges? How can we assist from a SOC point of view? So, yeah, that's very much where consultancy comes in, and it's very important for us. That's a very big one of our big pillars is the consultancy, because that helps us to understand the customer, and it also helps the customer gain trust in our service to them.
Okay. You must have to work as well with a lot of software vendors, a lot of solutions that are deployed to end user, into customers. And as we know by the nature of software that there are security flaws. There always will be, despite the best intentions of the developers behind them. There will always be flaws that can be exploited. How do you work with other cybersecurity vendors and with software providers in helping companies ensure that their systems are protected and patched against holes or flaws that adversaries typically exploit?
Well, you can only really do that by being integrated into communities. You've got huge communities out there in the wild that deal with, reviews and forums and development of software, and that's important for us to have that community base as well. And also, I mean, one of our key value propositions is the agnostic capability of the SOC. I mean, we've built extensive processes when it comes to the proof of concept of a technology. We're trialing and demoing it that, from development to UAT straight through to production. We follow those processes to ensure that the technology that we use as a strategic technology for the customer is something we can trust. And if something arises, we've got advisory services that we send out to our customers to say, listen, we found this vulnerability. The team is busy working on getting this resolved.
Right.
We are integrated with vendor support. So if we identify something, we engage with the vendor to try and resolve it.
So a key component of the people working, or role of the people working in the Security Operations Center, is to stay abreast of all the latest developments that are happening in the cybersecurity space, and then to inform your customers about these developments and how they may impact those end users.
Correct.
Okay, good. Simon, how long has the SOC been running for now? Just over a year, you said?
Probably a year and a half we've sort of been running.
Okay.
We moved into our new premise probably a year ago. So we were running it out of one of our other business units. And then we thought it was time to grow and spread our wings and move into our own little area. So it's been a year since we've been in our new office.
What would you say are some of the key learnings for CYBER1 over those 18 months?
We probably should have looked at bigger premises. I mean, we've been there a year now. I think we're sitting at probably about 20 individuals that sit in the SOC itself.
Right.
And it is growing.
And start 24 hours a day.
24 hours a day. So, I mean, the night shift is generally a smaller team, but during the daytime, we've got quite a full team in that office.
And we'll staff up if there's an incident, I presume.
Exactly. No, definitely. Yeah. So if there's an incident, everyone who's on standby gets pulled in, and we then rotate in shifts to make sure that there's that continuity, that we can provide the service back to the customers.
Okay. And the guys are getting enough sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. How long does an incident response take usually? Is it just a couple of hours, or are you on?
So it varies. I mean, we've been involved in some incidents that could have taken an hour and can go up to 3 weeks.
Wow.
because there's that whole, I guess, the response remediation point of view on making sure that, the bad actors are out of the environment, you've restored the organization back to where they should be, and then providing those consulting services where we say, these are the controls that need to be in place. Maybe there's some security vendors or solutions that you need to look at getting into the environment. So it varies from anything from, a couple hours to a couple of weeks.
Okay, a couple of weeks. Wow. You mentioned that this is not only a South African SOC; it's being aimed at a global business audience, and you mentioned also the rand pricing, which obviously helps in reducing costs relative to some of the SOC providers in developed markets. Are there particular geographies that you're focused on, or is this any market? Any company anywhere in the world?
So I think looking at CYBER1 as a whole, we generally sit in the EMEA space.
Okay.
So that's really where we've been focusing. Just because we've got individuals who sit in certain countries, we are able to, position with customers and provide, I guess, the insights into our SOC. But, in saying that, we've got a customer that sits in South America where we offer services to them. And I think it was really just because of our relationship with, previous individuals that we had worked with, and they liked what service we provided to them, and that's why we got a customer in South America.
Okay, so if someone contacts you from anywhere in the world, you're not going to say, sorry, you're from Australia, we don't deal with Australians.
We run 24/7.
Okay.
We want to deal with any organization that's looking for a SOC-as-a-service.
Okay. Gerald, how difficult, we've touched on the skills issue, but how difficult is it for you to find the talent you need to staff the SOC?
So it is quite difficult. There's a lot of recruiters that would disagree with me about what we recruit, what our criteria is. And, for us, it's really about attitude. We've had an individual that studied weather forecasting and ended up being one of our strongest people in the SOC, simply because they have the right attitude. But finding that attitude these days is very difficult. In the last 5 years, there's so many great resources and skills that have migrated to other countries. And in South Africa, the shortage in skill is real. So we are looking at ways to improve that by having the correct learnership and internship programs in place, where we can be like a watering well to start developing new skill out there. And it's something that the South African market really needs, is to have the skill in the cybersecurity field.
It must be frustrating, though, to train people up and then see a percentage of those taking those skills offshore. Because cybersecurity skills are in such high demand worldwide. How do you hang on to this talent? Apart from paying them a lot of money.
It's just in our culture.
Yeah.
There's just something about it.
That people want to stay.
Yeah, we have a very open culture.
Yeah.
Like we're not, we don't rely on a military based culture.
Okay.
Like we open. Anybody can talk to anyone. If you want to try something new, you're able to explore it. We do have structure. There is discipline in our business because it's needed, because it's a very critical business. But having that freedom of expressing yourself, the freedom of being who you are.
People like working there.
That's the bottom line. Like,
we've taken a lot of individuals who are part of the SOC, started the SOC, so they've grown with the SOC. So we've taken a lot of junior individuals who have seen some type of growth path, and that's something that we want to look at on how we sort of promote within our business. We offer the right tools, the training, the skills development to actually, assist the individuals in growing themselves. We want to get to a stage where if somebody does leave the organization, they're leaving because they've reached their growth and they want to go do something different. That's what we're looking at trying to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, coming back to process, it's a very big thing for us. We've got training and development, which is appetizing to individuals who are starting out in the industry, because they want to see, okay, I can get there. There's something I can grow into. And if you can show them, this is what you can become, that's appetizing. It's a good way of growing inside the business. As Simon mentioned, promoting within the business is very important as well, because you're giving them again that freedom to be better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that really works.
Okay. Good to hear. Good to hear. I want to ask a bit about, and this is not a subject I know a lot about, so I'm actually interested in learning a bit about how this process works, but the CYBER1 SOC is also ISO compliant, ISO 27001. ISO is an international standards organization. What is ISO 27001, and why was it important that you had this compliance?
It comes down to trust. If we are compliant to an international standard around the field of cybersecurity, it shows that we can be trusted.
What does the compliance require of CYBER1? What did you have to go through?
There's an extensive process. Again, a lot of policies and procedures that needs to be in place. You've got your information security management system that you need to build out. And once you've built out these policies and procedures, you need to enforce them, and you need to prove that you've enforced them. And this goes all the way into HR, all the departments within the business, to show that you've got structure. You've got, asset management. You've got risk management in place. There's all kinds of processes and policies followed to ensure that we are secure. We are improving our posture continuously.
There's certain controls that's required in the ISO 27001, and I think that's where customers want to know. And because we've got that ISO certification, they're aware that we're following the.
So it's really around operational processes and ensuring the company is very well run.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long does this process take, and what's involved?
So we actually we fast-tracked it. I mean, it should have taken probably a year to do, and I sort of pushed the team to do it in probably 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a lot of time and hours and that was spent gathering all the information and putting into play. But we were.
But it's worthwhile once you've done it.
Definitely, and I mean, this provides the reputation to organisations that don't sit in our country, So
right.
People who are sitting in Europe who are looking at SOC-as-a-service, they're happy to see that we've got the ISO certification, so they can trust us and we can provide a service to them.
Okay. Do you align with other industry bodies and standard settings institutions in cybersecurity? I'm thinking of NIST, for example.
So, I mean, Gerald, I know you probably want to touch on this. This is some of our frameworks that we do follow, and I think that's something that we're always looking at, because customers generally looking at, the likes of NIST and things like that.
So we follow NIST religiously.
Okay.
Around incident response. Again, you've had such a large organisation and communities that's bolted onto NIST, and they've got it to a stage where it is well thought through and it can be utilised in almost any environment. So we've incorporated that into our incident response capability. And earlier on I mentioned around the preparation of security posture, like improving the customer, consulting, and this all comes down into NIST as well. In NIST you have the preparation phase, which is pretty much pre-incident. So you're making sure that you're building out the correct countermeasures and you're enforcing the right structure into the environment to secure it. And then you move to the detection phase where that's where you start following the incident response processes. And then after you've followed you've successfully closed a incident response, you've got review phases and reporting and documentation and the continuous improvement. And this is really good in following through that framework is really good in following through a process from where you start preparing for a breach to where you are breached to where you learn from your mistakes.
Interesting.
There are a lot of regulations out there that we have to align to. We've got customers who might sit in the financial sector. So what are the PCI controls? What do we need to put in place? There's, the data protection policies that are out there, dealing, in South Africa, you've got your protection of your POPIA Act. You've got GDPR dealing with personal data being moved, and then because we've got quite a big entity in Kenya, they've also got their Kenyan data protection policy. They're all very similar in a sense of they seem to take very similar sort of points and I guess areas to cover. So we sort of try align to those type of data protection policies and ensuring that we have the right controls and visibility for the customers.
We had the chairwoman of the information regulator in here a few weeks ago, Pansy Tlakula, who's talking about data breaches, etc. Do you interface with the information regulator at all through your work?
So I think we do a lot of research on it. We take a look at the specific frameworks, the specific controls that are required from that point of view. Dealing with customers who've have seen a breach. What do they do? How do they handle it? How do we follow the right processes to ensure that we report back to, the public on a breach. So, yeah, we do have to deal, and follow what they're trying to do.
Gerald, lastly, I believe that CYBER1 also white labels the SOC for larger companies that don't want to build this resource in-house. Take us through that solution and how it works.
So it's more like a partnership program, the white labeling we do. So it's empowering partners out there that don't have the SOC capability or the funds to deliver a SOC service. We partner with them so they can leverage our resources, basically our service, to provide to their customers. So it's more of a the white labeling we do is more of a, if I can call it, like an affiliation type of program where we can integrate with another partner to provide a bigger service to a customer. It's again just to ensure that we do have the capability of integrating. Again, the biggest thing for us is to be agnostic, and even through our sales process, we want to be agnostic in that way as well.
Okay. Simon, if anyone wants to reach out to CYBER1 and talk more about the SOC and learn more about what it offers, what's the best way of reaching CYBER1?
I think probably the best approach is either through LinkedIn or our website, so c1soc.com. The guys can have a look on that platform. All the contact details are there, and then we generally will get Gerald and the team to set up a session with the customer, unpack what service they're looking at, and then we build the use cases to provide that service to the customer.
Fantastic. That website again, you said was c1soc.com.
Correct.
c1soc.com. Simon Perry is Chief Technology Officer at CYBER1, and Gerald Naude is Head of CYBER1's Security Operations Center, or SOC. Thank you, gentlemen, for a great conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.